You know, when we first started this podcast, I was concerned that we would run out of shit to talk about.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really was like, there's no way that we could continue to just talk.
There's still plenty of time for us to
There's
run out.
so many topics that I want to go over, and I'm so happy to be here with you.
So much space for activities.
For another episode of House of Herby, your safe space for self-discovery and bad bitchery. I'm Queen Herby, and my co-host is Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick.
He doesn't have a last name.
Nope.
Well, actually, your first name is Jedi Nick.
Ah.
We have a few things that we want to do before we get into today's topic. Yes.
Okay.
And
some housekeeping.
Yep. I think first of all, let's have a cheers to the Muse
Hey.
hopping up on the lap of Satan.
Okay.
No, the Muse, the new project, it jumped up to 36 on the iTunes chart.
Oh, hey, go fuck
Isn't that
yourself.
incredible.
Congratulations.
Cheers,
Congrats,
y'all.
everybody.
Have a nice martini sip.
May the martinis be wet.
Pretty exciting. I'm personally very tired today.
Yeah.
I went to the motherfucking opera last night.
You did.
Yo.
You did go to the opera yesterday.
Has anybody, let us know in the comments, have you been to the opera? Does anybody know what this is about? I really was like, I remember my friend Blimes called me Phantom of the Bopera, and I was like, absolutely, that's me.
That's really
I knew
good.
nothing about opera.
See, that's good writing. Calling somebody Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just good
No,
writing.
Blimes is an incredible
She's an
artist and
incredible
writer. If you've never heard of her,
Yeah,
she's
an amazing artist.
She's on my song Mozart
Yeah.
with Gifted Gab, who's also freaking incredible
Also
rap.
incredible.
These women are so talented.
Fucking great.
And we love Mozart. And the opera I saw last night was Marriage of Figaro by Mozart.
Oh, okay.
So here we are with a several hundreds of years old piece of art.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's like just, he's been in rotation pretty much for 350 years. Can we look it up when it came out?
The Marriage of Figaro?
The Marriage of Figaro.
So the quick take, the Queen Herby quick take.
Queen Herby quick take?
Is what the actual fuck? There's a pit of people playing instruments called an orchestra, and they play for freaking 3 hours straight.
1786.
Okay, 1786.
So 1786, the U.S. just fought off the British,
Okay.
the Americans. Okay.
History Corner with
Wait, for
Jedi
reals?
Nick.
History corner. I am not qualified. So there's a pit of brilliant musicians, like some of the best probably.
Okay.
I was trying to add up the math in my head. How much did this cost?
For some reason, I thought you were going to talk about Indiana Jones. Don't know why. Maybe I was thinking like a pit of snakes.
Oh, a pit of snakes. Well, it kind of is like that. If you fell into the orchestra pit, that would be unfortunate. It'd be like
they just attack you.
You would be like speared by an oboe.
Yeah.
Definitely. So they're
Death by
playing.
oboe.
So the first thing that happens is your brain can't comprehend that this beautiful music coming into your ears is from actual people playing instruments. Like, I wish they would come out and sort of fuck up first for a while, like be like not good, so that you could, and then gradually get better. Because even the like they're warming up when you're coming in, and it sounds like it just sounds like a sound effect. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful and so crazy. I definitely did not need 3 hours. Okay. That was a long time to sit in a tiny ass chair. This theater is like from the 60s, and you're not allowed to like have snacks in there. I was like, come on, it would be more fun with alcohol.
Where did the M&Ms come from?
The intermission. Nick was like,
That was where
you got up this morning like,
M&Ms. I was over there waiting.
Aren't they delicious? Did you eat them?
Yeah, I had like 4 of them.
I knew you would
I'm
eat
not
it.
gonna lie to you.
See,
Fucking
and
eat
they were
shit
like
out of your
$8, so it's just way too high.
Yeah,
you know. But I think what was so incredible too, like not to mention the singers. These people project their voices so far, and the stage design was like stunning. Like it was all so magical and just mind blowing, and in Italian. The entire thing was in Italian. I didn't know what was going on. They had little subtitles on an LED screen at the top of the, almost by the ceiling. So you're like looking, it's almost like subtitles or closed captioning in English.
Was there swearing at all?
No. It was so strange too that if you've ever seen it or if you know the story of Marriage of Figaro, it's basically just like about sex and scandal.
Everything's about sex and scandal.
And classism. So it's like the count and the countess are the rich people, and they are in charge, and they own the servants and the servant. So they want to have sex with the servants, and the servants want to have sex with them, but then they don't, and they're trying to trick each other.
Servant sex.
And it was just really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm exhausted because it got over at like 11 at night, and I go to bed at 8. So here we are.
Okay, so what I wanted to do is I'm trying to go through, I know last week I mentioned playing like some writing demos of some songs from the Muse and see like how they ended up and where they
I love
kind of
that.
like the process. So I have a couple. Let me see. I'm just going to see if this is. I think this might be Marie Antoinette. Let me see what happens.
Yeah. Oh. What was I saying?
Dude.
For these bitches. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Very
kinda,
cool.
It's kind of interesting, right? Yeah. So there's no. So that's just like the basic framework of what we start with. So there's no like bells and whistles yet. No transition sounds. Usually, no like just the very. And so in the beginning, you hear it's all this. The pitch is really weird because we changed the pitch. It was too low in your voice.
Yep.
And so I pitched everything up, and then so then I
That's why I
pitched
sound like
your
a
voice up a
chipmunk
little bit.
in the
I think
beginning.
it wasn't a lot. It was only like a half step or two.
Was this a track from the archives or was this a
No,
newer
this
one?
was a new one. And then
Nice.
Finnessy, though he sent me he sends me a bunch of ideas all the time, and they're all really fucking good. This one in particular was the drums. I heard that, I was like, oh, that'd be really fresh to kind of bring back some old school.
Like 90s.
Kinda, yeah. That was kind of like, dude, but those kind of feels. It was like, oh, that might be kind of fresh right now. So he had this track with those drums, and I was like, oh, just stem the drums out for me. I'm gonna take that shit and put the bass underneath it and everything. And then Steve comes on, and then he does this whole thing to it. So that's very, very, very. This is what you get when you then go and make it a song.
Right.
Right.
And then I sit in my office alone in the dark. It's like a vampire
just yelling
cave.
at you.
And I
Is
just
it
have
done
like,
yet?
I'm just like typing with 2 fingers on my laptop. Like, just a foolish mortal.
And then so I think this is Thank Goddess. I don't know if there's any vocals on it, though. This might have just been the track, but we'll
Okay.
see.
I mean, that sounds just like the song.
It's pretty close. It's similar.
So sometimes it's like done.
Or there's a lot of like. Right.
I don't hear the difference.
Well, there's a lot of like Steve will come in and change the snares and some of like the bass sound.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well. Fuck it up. Oh. Almost.
The cadence is there.
Cadence is there. Oh. I mean, the cadences.
So
That's
you
cool.
get-
Very cool.
right? And
Wow.
then so that's Thank Goddess, and then you go. So because I remember I had an idea. It was so bad. I think it was like, I've got a little crush on you or something like that. That was just kept playing. And when I made the track,
I
that's
got a little crush. It's true.
something fucking
And I was
terrible.
like, I'm
and I
gonna
was like,
rewrite
look, I
that.
know this is bad. I know this is bad. So, but just, and so I muted that part.
Yeah,
But it helps me just get the track made, actually.
for sure. Sometimes
then,
Nick thinks he's a pop star, goddess,
Yeah.
which is
The
not
writer.
wrong. There's
Yeah.
a part of you that is.
Oh,
Sometimes there's some hooks that he wrote, like,
Every once, see, this is the thing. Every once in a while, I'm going to get one. I'm
yeah,
gonna get one.
like what was it
But-
we were playing? I think Betty Who and Sarah. They were saying how they
Oh, yeah, I
love the
should play
song
that,
Masterpiece, and Nick pulled up the demo,
do
and
you
it was
wanna play
him
that?
singing it, and I was like,
Whoa.
"Oh, you wrote the Masterpiece chorus. That was done."
Kinda.
We
It
want to
was-
hear it sometime.
It was different. Hold on, I'll pull it up in a sec. Originally, just found out, was this.
Just found out that I'm the baddest bitch. Shit's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. I still love this track. I think we can come back and still use it for something. I still love it.
That's just crazy.
I like this track.
But it had it was like just found out that.
Yeah, it's like really slow. And then we ended up just found out like very different.
And I wonder what it like
we
really
get
changed.
there?
I think there was another iteration. There was the third variation of just found out that we ended up going with.
Right.
There was a whole other. I'm downloading another one right now. I'll see if we can get it. But in the meantime, let me play the other one. What are we talking about?
Masterpiece.
Oh yeah, this was fascinating to me because I'm like, this song is literally about like having art, like classical artwork, pussy, and you wrote it. That sounds like the opera.
It does. And I think I sped it up.
Yes. Listen to you sing.
Hold on, everybody.
Take my love, savor it. Take my love, savor it. Take my love,
There it is.
savor
Me.
But then you changed it. Yeah.
all my love. You will get.
Yes. Okay. See. So sometimes
That's
he gives
awesome.
me pure
Yeah.
gold, and I just say, "Okay, you're trying to
I'll
your
know where the
mumbles.
vibe
I know
is.
what you're saying."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
very
then-
cool.
And usually though, and this is going to be what we're going to be talking about today. 9 times out of 10, total horseshit.
How many voice memos you got in
Terrible
there?
ideas. I
Does it
don't
tell you
even.
the
I
number?
can't count past 4. 1,323.
Okay. So how many of those turned into songs? Well, probably like 50.
6.
Yeah. I mean, a good decent amount.
But that would still be worth it.
Period.
That would still be worth it.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so can we hop into the topic? Because this is
Let's
really,
do it.
we've shared all of our brilliance with you now. More brilliance. Just kidding. Today, I want to talk, well, I don't want to talk about this. Nick's favorite topic in the whole world is patience. In fact, when we went to see our favorite astrologer, Gall, in Silver Lake, California, thecosmicnavigator.com, he told Nick that he needs to write a book at some point.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was the one that said that.
Yep. And you were always like telling me, oh, I'm going to write a book about patience, or you already figured out a title for it. And I was like, really? That's your go-to is patience? Like that's your,
The least sexy thing of all time.
it's not sexy. And we're about to talk about why. And I did some research. I always do research on these topics before the podcast, just because I'm a learner and Nick doesn't. And so it's fun because,
Patience.
then we just bounce off each other like we do. But I learned so much in my deep dive about patience, and I'm excited to get this rolling.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so do we know the definition of patience? It's kind of hard to define.
The definition of patience. No, but I have a lot of bad puns that come to mind.
Yeah, see, so he's got the dad jokes teed up.
How do you know when a regular joke becomes a dad joke?
Oh, I know the answer already.
It becomes apparent.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it hurts everywhere. My insides.
At least people appreciate your dad jokes on here.
Thank you. I appreciate them. So
we are
fuck
it's a
it.
safe space.
Thank
okay?
you.
So,
Thank you.
and some people do find it funny.
I have the definition of patience.
Let's hear it.
The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset.
Whoa.
Say it one more time.
The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset.
Because do you know what it includes? It's 2 major key things in that.
What?
Acceptance and surrender.
Hey, okay. Podcast's over. We don't need to talk about
That's
it
it.
anymore. Yeah.
That's it. You're welcome.
But I want to dig into the nitty gritty because it sounds easy, but it's really not that easy. And there's a bunch of doctors actually that have done research on it and tried to understand, how do you actually cultivate patience? How do you work on it? Because it is a skill and something that you have to practice.
Yeah.
Woo! And it's so important. And I think Nick and I we've been in this music game so long, and we have been in life 30 odd years now. So it's like, you start to get good at it, especially if you surrender. And what was the other thing?
Acceptance.
Yeah. And accept. So that's the same definition that I saw. It was just the ability to accept annoyance without getting angry. That's like the simplification of it.
Yeah.
It's like your ability and your talent to be annoyed without getting upset.
Because to me, everybody has their own vision of how things work and how to be successful. And we can even talk about what being successful even means.
Right.
But patience, this is the title of the book, people.
Okay.
Patience is a superpower.
Let's go. Patience.
Because if you have enough fucking patience, there is nothing, almost literally nothing, that you cannot do. If you are willing to take the time and be patient with yourself, with the learning process, with all of these different things. What was something that I wrote down? It's like patience is surrender, the yin to persistence's yang. So to me, patience is more of like
the release, the feminine.
Yes, it's more of the acceptance and the allowing and the surrender.
Yeah.
Persistence feels more
It's
like
more masculine.
aggressive, more like no
Yes.
effort, energy.
And the combination of the two is perfect.
Well, the combination of the two, you're
Unstoppable.
literally. If you have the patience to keep going and to continue to learn. Really, to me, it's like if you just. So we talk about all the time. Okay, I want you to go first.
Well, I think that this is what we are the personification of this. How did that happen?
I know, right?
I
Whoops.
am definitely the feminine version. I'm like, actually, let's just let it go. I got really fond of the exercise of letting go. Have we told you all about this? Where you like locate it in your body, where is it stuck, and you just like wait for it to dissipate. You pull up something that makes you upset and you locate it in your body and you just sit with it like a little child, like you're babysitting. You watch it.
Yep.
And you don't judge it. You just let it sit and you give it compassion. It's okay. I got you, girl. Don't worry. And then eventually it dissipates. Like that has really helped me so much. And now you've been reading books about manifestation, like a little bit more specific
Yep. There's a really good
process
one.
and it's working for you.
I think so.
Because you
We'll
have that
see.
military mentality. You have that compounding, consistent habit thing. Like you make me go to the gym. And I'm still at the gym like, I wish everybody would just think about their mental wellness, you know.
which is more, it can arguably more important. But so I think patience is just a
Superpower.
it can be. It really fucking can be because it's so not sexy. All of the most important things usually are the least sexy.
Dude, the way the world operates, everyone's like faster, more, quicker,
Yeah.
better, bigger, better,
Penis.
farther, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
And it's just
Biceps.
not, according to research, if you learn patience, it creates more confidence, more decisiveness, and more thoughtfulness. It increases your capacity for success, improves your ability to accept setbacks and enjoy your life more.
Yeah.
What? Do I need to even say anymore?
Yeah. It reduces stress.
Dude.
You become more present because you're not worried about external problems.
It's like you have to trust that you're dope enough.
It's a lot of trust, and it's a lot of willpower too. I think it's a lot of willpower. It's willpower. It's trust. What did I write down?
We're so distracted too. Like,
So distracted. It's the patience is the willpower to be a beginner at something, a constant beginner.
and
So
that's
if
what
you-
someone asked us on a podcast recently. Like, how did you feel when you had to get into TikTok? Now you done YouTube, you done major label, you did the indie. It's like,
Yeah.
it's humiliating. Of
Yeah.
course, it sucks to have to like have the willpower to try something and fall flat on your face again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what would you be doing otherwise?
Yeah.
And maybe the superpower is that humiliating moment when you have to fall on your face. Because you know what? You figure it out every time.
You always do. And if you have enough patience, if you're not worried about, I know everyone's like, life is short, you don't have a lot of time. We have more time than you think you do. Okay. So what I mean by that is like, instead of just like how many hours in the actual day are you doing things? How many hours are you just on your phone? How many
They
hours
did a study
are
of
you
it.
just watching whatever?
You only work like 2 hours on average.
2 hours. Okay.
Focused.
And I'm not even saying that's, that you need to do more.
You don't need to do more.
You can literally do. We tried
don't.
doing a whole thing ourselves where we were like, was it done by 2?
Yeah.
We wake up kind of early. We
We
like
would
6:30.
we would say from 12 to 2 we're going to make content. And it would take
Right.
us like 30 minutes. It wouldn't even come close to 2
It's
hours.
going to like write, sometimes we'd go to the gym, but it'd be like write for an hour and a half or something. Or I'd be making something next door. You'd be writing. And then we'd come together and we'd try to make content for like, an hour, 30 minutes. And we were done.
Every
And that was
day.
it.
Every time.
So there is so much in it. And if you have like the patience to take the time. Sometimes it's so frustrating when you're trying to learn something new or have some new skill that you got to do. Because this is how it works, right? You have some major problem that you're trying to overcome. And you look at where you are and how to get to, to how to solve or fix this major problem, whatever, and it seems insurmountable.
Yeah.
If you just stare at it from where you're at, it's impossible. You can't even see how to fucking get there.
Period.
But what you do is you break it down into smaller, more manageable problems. And you just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And you have patience with yourself. And if you slowly, okay, so now I know you break it down. What's the first step here? I'm not worried about getting to the top of the mountain yet.
Yeah, I don't need that yet.
I just need to that first
Next
little
best
crack
move.
up there where they got that little hut and that guy's up there making
What could
pizza.
I actually accomplish
Okay?
in 2 hours?
Well, right. And even if it takes, you realize, this is going to take me, it's some new skill that you just don't know fucking anything about. Patience, and you will get there. Take your time.
We're going to give you some tips.
Slowly learn it.
Yes.
Do not freak out. Do not be in despair. Do not stress out. It's okay. How many skills? You literally now are like a professional Photoshopper.
Hey,
You're a professional editor.
let's go.
You're making your own. She's making
Jewelry now. Come on.
If anybody watches Portlandia, shout out.
Beats.
So you literally just learn how to do all these things. You have incredible patience with things for stuff that you give a shit about.
And I'm about to tell you why. I know exactly where my patience came from. And I know Alex is going to relate to this. And that's why we love Alex.
You're going to make a good doctor.
You know,
But don't.
there's so many exciting
Sorry,
things.
sorry, keep
Okay,
going.
I really thought this was going to be a boring topic, but this
It's
is very
great.
exciting.
Oh, man, I'm
And I'm
sweating.
excited for those that are listening because we are about to give you like some actual usable skills. Like, here's what you do. Here's what you do if you're struggling with this. So stay tuned. We're gonna grab all these ideas and kind of wrap them in a nice little gift for you at the end.
A little burrito.
So, okay, let me see if I can find this in my notes. It's too exciting because I zoomed out, I zoomed in. I was like, okay, patience on a big picture scale is like patience with your career or like your purpose. If you listen to our very first episode, Find Your Purpose or whatever, it's like, you know what you want to do. You have to have patience on the big picture. And then there's real-time patience, which is happening every damn day, where you're like, my coffee is taking too long at Starbucks. That's like daily trigger of patience that you can use for practice. So we're going to help you flip that because that's like super helpful. You can either get angry and impatient, right? Which, by the way, when you start feeling stressed and agitated and angry, that is literally just your body, your ego, and the universe telling you that you're impatient. So you can look at that now and instead of judging it and being more angry, you can be like, oh, babe, I see you. I see you there. You're just being impatient. And that's what happens. You don't judge it. And you instead say, what is the universe trying to teach me? What is it trying to show me? What is the new scene of my movie that's unfolding right here, right now at this coffee shop that I get to enjoy? Mm-hmm. And then you look around the coffee shop and you're like, wow, it's busy today. There's a bunch of people that are like enjoying their lives. Oh my God, look at this kid. He's like playing with a puppy. This is wonderful, actually. I'm so happy that my coffee's late.
Dad, what are you doing here?
That's how you practice patience. You locate those moments where you're angry and frustrated and stressed. And you're like, what is the universe trying to show me? Mm-hmm. It's like code. It's communicating something to you. Hey, but pay attention to this. It's part of your experience and the magic.
Yeah.
Everything has something to teach you. Even the opera that I went to last night, I was like, oh, we're about to practice some patience. Because this shit, I mean, after the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, okay, this is what it is. Amazing. And then I was like, shit.
Sometimes you are so...
This is about to be so long and people around me are coughing and I'm like, I'm going to get COVID. But it's like slowing down.
Yeah.
The requirement of patience is... The first thing that I notice is to slow down.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me because I'm so ambitious and I'm so excited about my life and my path. And
our brains now are, but with phones and social media and shit, they're trained to like every 5 seconds to like look for something new.
The fact that you listen to a podcast is already a sign that you're good at patience. Because the first time I listened to a podcast, I was like, really? This is really going to hold my attention, bitch?
Yeah.
No, and that's why we have to practice our the way that we talk to each other. For the first several months of this, I was like, I need to be fast. It needs to be, I need to entertain these kids.
Yeah.
But these 60 and 70-year-olds at the opera did not give a fuck that it was 3 hours. They were like, this is wonderful.
Mozart is like, I wrote this shit 300 years ago, bitch. I don't give a
So
shit.
unfortunately, I think the younger generations are like a little bit lacking in the patience department.
Probably, but I think it's all relative. Everything in general is speeding up as well, and I think that's also going to go hand in hand with anxiety and stress and all of these things, which are
Just signs that you're needing to practice a little more patience.
slow down. Everything can slow down more than you think it can,
And you actually become more productive when you slow down.
Dude, that's
That
the
is
counter
so-
because it feels so counterintuitive.
I don't get it.
It feels counterintuitive, but it's not. That's exactly the fucking truth.
It's
if
a
you
mindfuck.
it is a mind fuck. If you just slow the fuck down and actually take your time, it is gonna feel like it's gonna be, everything is gonna make you frustrated and feel like you can't even. Everything is the sensors are gonna go off in your brain like crazy, but you just have to observe them, just watch them, sit with them, have patience with yourself. But it's just always the key for me. It's also like problem solving. Any of these problems really can just come to the wise sage in all the fucking movies who sits down and is like, then the answer isn't here. The answer isn't here. Well, that means we must sit.
Oh.
And allow patience. Allow the answer
And
to
I'm
present
rolling
itself.
my eyes with you. If you're listening to this, like
If the turtle in Kung Fu Panda does it, then we should too.
can you, if to slow down, can you put your phone down? Can you put your phone away? How hard would that be for you? Put your phone away and be present with who and what's in front of you.
Yeah.
What would that feel like? You don't have to do it. No pressure. Just a question. Like sometimes I think about it when I'm meeting with people for lunch or whatever, and I'm trying to show them something on my phone, and I was like, what if I just like put this away? And I just look at you. And I'm here with you, They're
like, oh, why is she staring at me?
So that really helps if you're trying to slow down, because we're giving tips now. We're like, all right, put your phone down, be present with who and what's in front of you. Drive the speed limit was a piece of advice that I read on multiple. I said,
Really?
Drive the speed limit, LOL, because what?
Yeah.
That is a practice of patience. There's so many people that can't, and that's your direct line to patience.
Yeah.
People can't go the speed limit. Like it's really challenging, and that's just another opportunity to practice.
Yeah, I think about too, like when
Let someone cut in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You got time.
This is how you practice.
You're all
making time for fun. This is what I'm really bad at. Make time for fun and to relax. Because my brain can't understand that like relaxing and slowing down makes you more productive.
Makes you more efficient.
I still think that's wrong, but it's not. All the research says otherwise.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every single time. That's why, it's crazy. Every time we take a 3-day break or go, take a day somewhere, just drive. Just for me too, it's also a change of physical location, because I'm like, you see things. I'm noticing how important it is for me recently after COVID to listen to music with large groups of people and just see and feel the reaction, either my own reaction to the music.
Being present with who and what's in front of you.
Or you just notice, because more from like just, egoically as a music producer too, or whatever, to just experience the music and to understand. It was like, oh, because it is such a different thing when you're creating it, and then when you're mixing it, and then when you're just in your own room, and then you can see people experiencing it and feel yourself experiencing it in a different set of speakers, a different context, and it's like it changes the whole fucking song.
Yep.
It's really important.
Yep. I love that. So they say being patient puts us in direct control of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which I was like, damn. So it's just like self-awareness.
Yeah.
It makes it so that you don't get emotionally hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
So it also helps, like, slowing down and practicing patience helps you to not get into that anxiety spiral.
Yeah.
So now it's like, maybe this episode about patience is just to help some of y'all who struggle with anxiety to just look at it from a different angle. Look in a different window in your mansion and be like, hey, bitch, actually, we could just slow down and put our phone down for a minute. And that's going to actually give you the tools you need to learn how anxiety feels and how to better manage, have that control of yourself.
Yeah.
That's big.
That is big.
I think the most famous quote that I read about patience was, good things come to those who wait. Cute, right?
Patience is a virtue.
I know. And I was like, well, fuck virtues. But they are pretty cute. I mean, they can't stand with time. So Nick already said this, but surrender is a big part of this.
Huge part.
As opposed to having anger and pride. So on the scale of consciousness, obviously patience would be very high because the opposite is anger and pride, which are the kind of the turning point of society being integrity or not.
Yeah. And I think, acceptance, I think, what does he have? It's like 350 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then, ultimate complete surrender is peace, which is probably
that's way higher.
Enlightenment, but yeah.
So somewhere between 2 and 350 is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
With patience, probably.
Yep. Courage. Yep.
Yep.
In there, I just can't stress enough, how big of a deal it is. So let's just say, so for some reason when we're adults, quote unquote, as soon as we're done studying, like in school, we kind of stop learning. And it's and
you
why?
hate school. You hate school.
You hate school, but
school is
something happens.
School's out for the summer.
If you have the biggest thing I know, you're like, this is actually learning and whatever, and that's fair. But to me,
when you're done with school, you can choose what you want to learn.
Right, and a lot of people they learn something that they have to learn. They become uncomfortable, and then they're like, oh shit, I gotta figure something out, and they figure something out, and then they just kind of stay there
forever.
Meanwhile, I think about when we first started Queen Herby, 5 years ago.
Right. Meanwhile, Queen Herby's over here making jewelry moves.
Right. But only that, but all of the different skills that you and both of us have acquired over the time, because it just, and you look at other people or somebody who else has maybe has just kind of set it and forget it. And one day turns into 2 days, turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a year. And then all of a sudden, if you just chip away and you have patience with yourself to either solve these problems by learning new skills yourself or whatever it is, you will always get there. And it's hard. It's not sexy to stop and look back in the rearview mirror and be like, oh damn, 5 years later, I'm fucking killing this shit, or I learned how to do. You literally are photoshopping all your own stuff.
Correct.
We're shooting all of our own stuff.
Correct.
I had to learn how to fucking direct.
Correct.
And also it should be, when you're learning these new skills too, there is also, sometimes it takes a lot of energy to do. And that's where a lot of the frustration comes, at least when we're doing stuff, there's a lot of energy in that room. So there's a lot of
there's not a lot of slowing down and patience.
Not a lot of slowing down, but every time we do, amazing things happen.
Amazing.
Do you think too it has a lot to do with, well, surrender, of course, but giving up control? It's an ego thing too, because you have to be willing to say, all right, I can't control, I'm going to just let it go.
I love that.
And trust.
Let it go.
Because that is...
Don't sing that. Oh no. Trademark.
Let it
Copyright.
go.
No. That is a hard one for me.
A million
to just
percent.
let go of the
It's
control of a
fucking hard,
situation, to be patient.
And it's control is not bad, because when you have self-control, when you're I'm able to control my own.
So there's two different types of control.
It's that graph of what I can control and what is out of my control.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So it's and this is the meditation. This is the secret of life, really. There was one thread that went viral a couple of weeks ago where they were talking about I spent this time with this Buddhist monk or whatever, and he taught me the 10 things I learned the most to achieve enlightenment or whatever. And one of them was be your own best friend and be internal rather than external.
Damn.
So you're no longer where all of the stress and anxiety comes from, where all the willpower comes from, is your energy and your identity is outside of you. All the control and all the things that are happening outside of you will never be able to control. That's the hard part. And that's when the thinking and you start to feel like a fucking crazy person. But if you go inside, those are the only things that you can control. And then that creates the more you focus on that, the more powerful you begin to feel. But even the fucking Viktor Frankl, one of the guys who survived the Holocaust, he talks in his book too about the only thing they couldn't take from me was, his soul, or his own right to make his own decisions about how he felt.
I think patience is maybe also the essence of life. This is why we came here.
It's
we
one
talked
of the
about
schools.
reincarnation the other week. It's we came here to struggle
because it's difficult. It's fucking hard. And especially if it is the feminine aspect of
Trait.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because look, it's a man's world right now. And that's,
Ooh,
again,
patience is a feminine trait, ladies. Let's go.
She's hot.
We
She's
love
hot.
her. So patience is a skill that's learned and practiced. So let's not forget, you are born with a pretty, because I'm about to hop into childhood for a second. So in childhood, how do we learn patience? Think back to when you're a kid. For me, car rides. Listen, in
Why?
Nebraska, the most relaxed, this is where I learned my patience, I think.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for this. Having been raised in the Midwest where there's nothing going on. You're driving and literally the landscape, their visual is flat and the same for miles. That's why the sunsets are so beautiful, because it's just flat. You can see the entire sun setting. And until the sliver at the bottom is gone. Like the light dims from the sky in real time. You can see it.
Yeah.
And also, there's nothing close to you. So if you're going somewhere where something's happening, you're driving like 6, 7, 8, 12 hours in the car. And it requires so much patience.
Yeah.
So as a child, it's car rides. For some people, it's ice cream after running errands with your mom or dad. Like with your parents taking you to like stupid shit you don't want to do, and they're like bribing you, right? So you're learning patience with bribery. You keep these traits lifelong. So the less struggle it's going to be for you to be patient, I think, if you come from the Midwest. I feel like Alex, is one of the only people on my team that like has the patience to deal with my crazy ideas. And like we're like developing a product, and we're like looking at different things, and he's willing to do the work, and not a lot of people have that trait.
And for all the creatives that are listening too, it takes so much. Because listen, if you're any kind of entertainment, music, art, any of that shit, like you're gonna hear 1,000 no's, like literally hundreds of no's and like 1 or 2 yeses, and that's okay. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Even like, so we talk about all the time, like the difference of being in today's world, being like an independent artist versus being a signed artist. And even signed artists take 7 years to break. That's an incredible amount of patience. It's, you have to, it's surrender, man. It's fucking surrender. And it's an incredible skill. I found out when doing all this astrology stuff, my rising sign is Capricorn.
Yeah.
Which is the mountain goat.
Yeah.
Which is the most like, so the whole concept of it is like, you may not choose the fastest, sexiest path up the mountain, right? It may, but you get there.
You gonna get there.
Oh, you gonna get there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The mountain goat
To the
is
top.
gonna find a way there.
Tippity top.
And it's just one foot in front of the other. And, fall in love with the process.
And what's so funny is when you get to the top of the mountain, you're just going to eat some grass and go to a new mountain.
It's going to be good grass, though.
It's gonna be
That's
good.
going to be some fresh fucking grass.
You got a good view.
You know what I'm saying?
You value a view.
It's going to be cold as shit.
Yeah. According to studies, if you have more patience, you will have clearer skin, better sleep, less headaches, less ulcers, less GI problems, and less illness.
Ulcers?
Less ulcers.
They didn't say no ulcers.
Have you ever had an ulcer?
I don't think so.
Nick is less impacted by stress. Also, women have higher percentages of all
Yeah.
this fucking shit.
Because you're like, if it is really a man's world and you have to constantly surrender everything, and that is the feminine trait in general.
That's why I'm so angry at men for having anger, because I'm like, you have way less
No,
stress.
deal, get over it, bro.
Come on, like women are like, I don't know, I might die later. We have so much more stress than you, and of course that's why they're like, according to studies, women have more like
Less.
80% of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, cases are women.
How many?
It's like 80% or something.
Jesus, really?
And I had to do hypnosis. Like I'd fallen ill. It was around the time we killed Carmen. I had fallen ill with some like really rare infection in my gut.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
I've ended up finding like the best GI doctor in the world or something. And he was so wonderful and like taught me everything. And he was like, yeah, there's a weird connection between the brain and the gut. And it's literally the life force and like this. But he was like, but don't tell, I'm a doctor. I can't really say this. But it was really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping back for a second, back to when you were saying, so being a creative, what you were saying, also part of the patience in that is when you're dealing with other people and you're like waiting for an email back and it's in their court. There's really nothing else you can do. Remembering to like,
The best.
Constantly keeping yourself in check. And we deal with this all the time. Have we heard back from so-and-so? Have we heard back from so-and-so? It's like, nope, I'll ping them again. We're just
waiting, keeping
we're
a
just
to-do
waiting.
list.
And that is a very tricky part of being a creative in a world where you have to deal with other people and suppliers and whatever.
That was probably one of the single most frustrating things for me personally, being on a major label. Was because I was not prepared for that at the time, and I was a control freak at the time, and it broke me a few times because I was not very patient, or I felt like things needed to move at a certain tempo or something.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I'm not very patient either, you can say it's just the universe giving you so many beautiful opportunities to practice.
Yeah,
don't be hard on yourself.
I never fail at anything. I only learn.
I never fail at nothing. I only learn.
We can't copy. We don't
I give
have
you the
rights.
really good vocals on this podcast too. So how do we actually practice patience? So those of us, myself included, that are bad at patience, how do we practice it? I've compiled a short list, and I'm sure that we're going to get some more tidbits as we go. So number 1, focus on what you can control. Don't spend time and energy on things you can't control. So that's kind of the first thing, because that feels good. That feels like it's not just me struggling and suffering with patience. Now I'm like, oh, well, let me actually just like determine what is it I'm stressing about that I don't need to.
Right.
And I can let go and surrender and be patient about.
Yeah.
And trust that it's coming back to me in the right timing or the right form. Because sometimes, what do they say? Like, if it's not for you, then it's not going to come.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let it go. Either way, hanging on to it like a fucking crazy person. It's not gonna. It's the whole concept of like boy likes girl. If you go up to somebody and you're like, oh my god, like I'm obsessed with you. Your natural reaction is going to be like, hey, cool, get the fuck away from me, please.
Yes,
right. So,
yes.
but then if you're like, cool or accepting with it, then it flows to you naturally. That's a.
I found a really
What the
cute.
fuck are we even talking about now? We're on some totally other.
This all started with patience, and
It's all
now
started
we're-
with patience.
now
I
we're
need
on-
more patience.
We're on Control, which is also a really amazing album by SZA, if you want to listen to Control. Things I can't control, other people's mistakes, what happens around me, other people's motives, other people's happiness, the past, how others respond or react, the weather, the future, other people's opinions. These are things you can let go of.
And they're all things external.
They are. Things you can control. My attitude, my boundaries, how I express myself, my thoughts and actions, the way I treat others, how I respond, the way I act, my beliefs and values, my words. So you start to like draw a line. And if you're feeling stressed, so remember, feeling stressed and anxious and angry is a sign that you're being impatient, and that's totally okay. We're not judging it, but we're saying, babe, hey babe, how are you? Hey, checking in. Maybe this is not something that's in my control, that I could fully surrender right now and then just grab one of those things that are in my control to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And a big part of this too is like, we are not masters of this shit.
Right.
We are perpetually interested in its power and learning how to use these things for, in our own creative journey,
Creative life.
but it's things that we deal with all the time, and we're still learning.
We're here learning with you.
Yeah, and I think doing this is a big step in us, like actually being able to verbalize and talk through the process, and a reminder, honestly, too.
Yeah.
So, well, fucking listen to your own podcast, bro.
Never are we saying that we're pros at any of this. We are with you. This is our safe space. This is where
But we are curious,
we are.
and we do have a good amount of life experience and practice at this point.
A good amount.
Good, not the most, but a good amount.
Some of y'all got more than us, and I really
Oh,
love.
you
I
fucking
love
kids.
in our Patreon. There's like a whole. Okay, the Discord is popping. Thank you for everybody who's a part of the Patreon. If you're interested, patreon.com/House of Herby. It's just a little bit more extra VIP experience.
You want to hear some
because
dad jokes?
we got more dad jokes. That's really the only thing you need
That's it.
to hear.
That's all you need to know. That's the pitch.
I have loved doing these extended aura cleanses, and we do an after dark episode. So that's my pitch for that. But let's go to the second one.
did
So
you say?
silence and meditation.
Okay. So to me too, a lot
Hate
of these, it's tough. I'm not kidding. When
I know people that are uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah. Most people are.
Like they have to listen to the radio all the time.
Yeah,
And at
or-
night when they sleep.
Yep. Or yeah, absolutely. Or you have to start talking in a and that's all good. Fucking all this is great practice. Even if you don't want to just actually just sit and meditate for a while, just put your phone down.
Yep.
Don't be on your phone for 20 minutes and just sit. You don't even need to close your eyes and do all this shit, but just sit by yourself. Start with 10 for just 10 minutes. That's it.
Let's go to kindergarten level and say, get you a blank piece of paper.
Okay.
And some pens, because this is my creative babies. My creative babies are listening.
Can I get colored pencils?
If you're uncomfortable with silence, you don't like to meditate, get you a blank piece of paper.
Okay.
Put it in front of you.
Got it.
And just see what you draw. It helps me so much to doodle.
This reminds me of that.
That's also uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know, I might draw a penis. We love that. We love that.
Do you remember the scene from was it Superbad?
Yes.
Where
he just draws dicks.
He's like, it's a real thing, okay?
So
I just couldn't
relatable.
help. As soon as I picked up a pencil, I just had to draw a dick.
Or you might write the storyline of Harry Potter on a napkin and be a billionaire in 5 years. We don't know.
It happens.
But what I'm saying is, babe, try to experiment with silence. Try to play around with it, because that's really, she's like a cousin of patience too.
Yeah.
She's like the sexy cousin of patience. Like, imagine if silence is a person. She's hot. Okay. She's good in bed is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Number 3. Okay, we're moving on to number 3.
probably not a screamer.
Stop.
Silence.
Oh my God, no. What? Ironically, yes.
Ironically, the loudest sexer ever.
Silence is the best in bed. Number 3, stand in lines. Whoa! Or go the speed limit. I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah, slow down.
Like, literally,
sit and wait.
I've had friends that were like, yeah, my therapist said to like stand in lines. I was like, oh my God, I love this for you. I love this.
That's good.
Because it does teach you patience. It's like, you see a long line for something, just get in the line.
Yeah.
And then notice what happens.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to eventually get to the front of the line, but you need to practice this. It's so annoying.
And you're fine. Also, like, you get there and it's totally fine. Nobody died. Nobody freaked out.
And along
It's
the way,
okay.
like I said, you might notice like, oh, there's a child playing with a puppy, and it like gives you this whole joyful, just think about what your movie is trying to show you.
Yeah.
What's the universe trying to teach or show you? It's never like teach, like I'm going to teach you. It's like fun and like enjoyable, and you're here to experience pleasure. Trust me. Number 4, stop multitasking. This is really weird for me to read. I was angry about this.
Yeah.
Because women are really good at multitasking. Like a lot
I'm really good at multitasking.
Stop.
What?
That's not true.
No, I'm pretty bad.
Pretty bad at it.
Yeah.
But it's actually, the scientists are saying like, actually, nah. I don't want to talk to you, nah. Multitasking actually prevents you from being able to slow down. Everything that patience requires is like the antithesis of multitasking.
Yeah.
So they're like, actually, bitch. The scientists are like, bitch, listen. The martini is hitting.
Oh, God.
Scientists are like, actually, just focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hot. I like it. Breathe. Like what we were doing earlier. And I got so excited and I was like, all right, I'm going to look at this tomorrow. Different times of the day gives me different perspectives on design, especially.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, for all the creatives, we talked about that before too, but like
Creatives, come on. Multitasking doesn't do it.
yeah, and you don't have to. There is a fine line. Like if you try to get so many projects out and all this shit, if you do slow it down, you can get more done.
You are going to be more productive.
Sounds so counterintuitive.
Focusing on one thing at a time. Now, it is hard to shift gears once you complete something and then try to shift into. I notice this with music. I'm like, well, if I'm writing lyrics, I'm like this sensitive, like fish in a deep well of cold water. And then I have to switch into like promotional mode. And I'm trying to make TikToks and we're like, all right, now fix your lipstick and let's do another take. It's very different. And that's triggering.
Yeah.
But it is still the best way. I can't multitask for creative work.
Yeah.
Let us know if y'all feel differently about this. The next piece of advice. We're just ending this whole episode with advice. Take a break. What?
Get a fucking Kit Kat bar.
Give me a break.
Take a
Take a break. Okay. They do recommend scheduling breaks because some of us are crazy hoes and we don't know how to take time off.
Yeah. I see that doesn't really always. I guess it does work.
That's a patience exercise.
When we're cutting vocals, we always only work for like an hour at a time. We have this little, what is it called?
Sand dial.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess that's kind of.
Hourglass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You mixed hourglass and sundial.
Which we both did.
You both did.
Imagine
Perfectly incorrect.
Imagine if we used a sundial to manage our time.
Well, according to the sun, it
Well,
seems like it's 1:30.
Sheesh.
According to the sun, I have ADHD.
You know, my grandparents always had a sundial.
Mine too.
What is that about?
That's got to be a
we have
grandparents
so much
thing.
in common.
Oh
I hate
my God,
you.
are you guys from the Midwest or something?
Shut up, Alice. The sundial was always, I was like, Grandma, what does this do? And she was like, well, it tells you what time it is. I was like, what? Bitch, what? Even with daylight savings, bitch?
How?
It's pretty
does it
amazing.
know?
We didn't need to do all this innovation on clocks. We could have just put a piece of stone outside with a little pointer and it creates a shadow and it points to the time, bitch. Okay,
Science.
now we're way too lit. What's cool about taking a break though and time management is that remember when we said the anxiety episode where I was like, okay, now siphon off what you're stressed about and put some space around it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're stressed about something, just let it float away and just put a little space and say, hey girl. So with time management and taking breaks, it's helpful to separate from yourself and become your own secretary. So you're just like, hey babe, actually I've noticed you've been a little anxious and a little impatient. You separate that part of you off and you put some space around it and you say, hi, I'm your new secretary. Lovingly, you're lovingly like, hey babe, I'm here to support you. I'm scheduling your life now. We're going to take a break from this hour to this hour. I need you to not multitask because I'm your secretary. I'm here to support you. You can just work on this from this hour to this hour. And then from here to here, you get, and if you start feeling overwhelmed, take the dogs for a walk. So you start looking at yourself like you're caring for yourself from a compassionate angle, and it helps a lot.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. I do this a lot in my brain.
Nice.
Okay, this one's boring. Exercise, eat well, self-care.
Listen to
Bored.
Queen Herby.
Yeah, listen to Queen Herby. No, it's a great one. They talked a lot in these research papers about delayed gratification. So not doing like impulsive things is also a practice of patience. Like, okay, for my girls that are out there, my girls and gals and theys and gays and theys, and even some boys are addicted to shopping like I am. Instead of just buying it on an impulse, I make a wish list for later. Like my Amazon cart is always like, I don't just buy things right away. Because it does help to practice patience and creating like a barrier between you and what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. But delayed gratification is a way to practice patience. Like, okay, instead of watching your favorite show, binging your favorite show for hours, read a book first. Interesting suggestion. And then another one that the articles were saying was cognitive. Thank you. Cognitive dissonance. This was interesting. So this is our last pointer for those of you that are out there like, I'm impatient as fuck, Queen, teach me. If you're driving to work and you're like, traffic should not be this bad on a Monday, this doesn't make any sense. That idea in your brain with another idea saying like, why is traffic this bad is like cognitive dissonance. It's like two ideas in your head at once creates that anxiety and that anger. Yeah. So it's another opportunity. The universe is like, bitch, listen. Traffic is bad on Monday because I'm giving you a chance to practice patience.
Yeah. Yep. It's a Byron Katie thing. Anytime you're using the word should and I think something else.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, shoulda, goddamn. Anytime you're like this should be different. If that's one of the trigger words, your body's going to experience stress every time you have one of those thoughts. Because it isn't that way, and you are trying to change it.
Trying to change reality.
You're trying to change
reality.
reality.
It's like the Matrix.
It's like there
is
no spoon.
There is no spoon. It's like
if
you've never seen the Matrix, this is a really a key topic.
Yeah.
It's like you have to start to find these little triggers and codes in your experience to be like, oh, bitch, that's code for this. Okay, closing remarks. Any more thoughts on patience?
Yeah, well,
I feel like we beat this topic up.
Beat the shit out of it. I feel like it is. There are still probably a lot of things that we could also could hit, but you have patience with yourself, have patience with other people, have patience with your career, Have patience with
Daily situations like your coffee being late.
have patience with learning. If there's anything that you're trying to do, if you can add have patience with in front of it,
Yep.
there is nothing that you cannot accomplish over time. Just remember that. That is a real thing. It's going to get rid of stress. It's going to literally clear up your ulcers, apparently.
Clear your skin, which we love.
Clear your skin. It's such a wonderful, and it's not easy. Just acknowledge that.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You're doing some fucking hard shit.
We're in here.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but you can do it. And I think for a lot of people, myself included, as soon as someone tells you it's not easy, it becomes easier somehow.
Yes.
It's like the pressure's off that it needs to, it's like, oh, okay, that's no big deal. So, you know what? We're going to be all right. We need you at. Go fuck yourself.
Good job.
Can I leave you with a nice quote on
Let's
patience?
go.
Please.
Quote.
This is a good quote from Tolstoy. I just wanted to share.
Let's hear it.
The two most powerful warriors are patience and time.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
Let that sink in.
I didn't even touch on this from my notes, but maybe another podcast episode is that time is not even real.
Sure.
It's an illusion.
I'm going to count. It's an illusion now. Time is real to our physical experience.
Yes, I need to do some research into this because I've heard this from a lot of books that are in my book list on my website, queenherby.com. And then a lot of y'all have been recommending books to us, like some of the, which one is you reading right now?
I'm reading Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza.
Thank
Is that his name right now?
you.
Great
Thank
book.
Thank you to everybody that's recommending these books.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, they do. A lot of these teachers are saying that time is not real. So let's do an episode on that at some point.
Sure.
But I love that they're partners, especially the patience and time and the physical experience is real.
Yes, because X plus time over real consistency. And even like when you're becoming an artist too, everything is about time and establishment.
It is.
Put the blinders on.
So many artists that pass on to the next realm, to the next life without receiving their flowers. I mean, so much to talk about with time.
So much time.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that.
So little time.
Yes. We're so grateful to be here with you on House of Herby. This podcast has really enriched our lives. Like sometimes I feel selfish, like this is just but then I look at the Discord on the Patreons and I'm like, damn, we really are here with our people. Thank you. Continue to leave us messages and let us know what you want to talk about for the After Hours episode, which is very special. Mm-hmm. And those of you listening on all the platforms, we love you so much. Thank you for being here.
It's really cool. Appreciate you.
Yes. And we will see you next week.